If you feel lonely tonight, I want you to know something before we begin. You are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. And what you feel tonight is not a weakness. It is one of the most deeply human experiences that exist. Loneliness hurts because love is real, because the bonds you have had matter, because the absence of someone who has been important leaves a space that the body and mind register as real pain. Not metaphorical, real. Tonight, I am here with you, not as background noise, as a presence, and we are going to get through this together. Welcome. I am Jordi from Conscious Mind. Tonight, we are going to do something different. We are going to go meet who you will be. If this meditation moves you, subscribe, give it a like, and activate the little bell. That allows me to keep creating. Thank you. I am not going to ask you to stop feeling what you feel. I am not going to tell you that everything passes or that you will be okay. Not tonight. Not yet. Tonight, we are going to do something different. We are going to stay for a moment with what is here. We are going to recognize what hurts. We are going to give it space. Because loneliness that is not named does not disappear. It simply settles deeper. So first, allow yourself to feel it. That absence, that empty space where someone should be. That bed that feels too large. That table where you eat alone. That silence of the night that sometimes weighs more than the noise of the day. Name it, without drama, without judging yourself for feeling it, just recognizing it. Yes, this hurts. Yes, tonight I feel alone. Yes, I miss someone. And that is okay. Feeling that is not a failure. It is proof that you have loved, that you have the capacity to connect with others, that you are human enough for the absence of connection to matter to you. There are millions of people tonight in the same situation. You do not know it because loneliness tends to be lived in silence, because there is social shame around it. As if feeling lonely were a confession of failure, as if people with full lives never felt it. But studies show that loneliness is one of the most common experiences of modern life. It affects people in relationships, people with many friends, successful people, Loneliness does not distinguish between those who have and those who do not. It is an inner experience, not an external circumstance. The Surgeon General of the United States, the highest ranking doctor in the American government, declared an epidemic of loneliness in 2023. Not in countries at war, in one of the most digitally connected countries in the world, with more than 4 billion social media users on the planet, loneliness keeps growing. Because the connection the body needs does not travel through the phone. The connection the body needs has texture, temperature, physical presence, or real emotional depth. And that is exactly what is hardest to find in the modern world. And recognizing it tonight, instead of running away from it, is already an act of courage. An act that statistically millions of people do not do. They prefer the anesthesia of the screen, of noise, of constant movement. You chose to stay with it, and that already changes something. There is something science has confirmed about loneliness that completely changes the way we relate to it. Researcher John Cacioppo from the University of Chicago devoted decades to studying loneliness with neuroimaging tools, and his most important finding is this: loneliness is not an emotional state, it is a biological state. Just as hunger is a signal from the body that says, I need nourishment, loneliness is a signal from the nervous system that says, I need connection, not as a luxury, as a basic need, like water or sleep. The human being is a deeply social animal. Our nervous system evolved in groups. Survival depended on group cohesion. Isolation was dangerous, and the brain developed a specific alarm system to detect it. That alarm is loneliness. It is not telling you that something is wrong with you. It is telling you that you need something. For tens of thousands of years, that alarm was effective. When you felt loneliness, the solution was simple. Move closer to the group. The group was nearby. Connection was immediate. But the modern world has complicated this. Cities are full of people who do not know one another. Screens create the illusion of connection, but do not produce the biological signals of real connection. Work schedules prevent moments of genuine meeting, and there is a cultural tendency to present a life that works well, which makes many people keep their loneliness private. So the alarm sounds, and the solution that evolved, moving closer to the group, is not always available in that moment. Tonight the solution we have is different, but it is real, and it is enough, and the body can receive it. You are noticing that right now. The difference is crucial. Hunger does not make you feel guilty. Thirst does not make you feel broken. Loneliness should not either. It is only the signal of a need. And tonight, instead of trying to silence the signal, we are going to listen to it and respond to it in the most intelligent way possible. Cacioppo also discovered something else. People who feel lonely perceive the world differently. The brain, in chronic loneliness mode, scans the environment for social threats. It becomes hypersensitive to signs of rejection. It becomes more distrustful, more closed, harder to connect. That is not a character flaw. It is the nervous system in protection mode, protecting you from more pain. But the paradox is that this protection sometimes keeps us more isolated. It makes it harder to take the first step, harder to show vulnerability, harder to connect. Tonight, we are going to deactivate that mode, not with willpower, with the body. Researcher Naomi Eisenberger from the University of California, Los Angeles, conducted an experiment that changed the understanding of social pain. She placed participants in an MRI scanner and had them play a virtual ball tossing game. At one point in the game, the other players, who were computer programs, stopped passing the ball to the participant. They excluded them from the game. What she saw in the scanner was unexpected. The same region of the brain that activates with physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex, activated with social exclusion. The brain does not distinguish between the pain of a blow and the pain of being rejected or ignored. It processes them in the same regions with the same intensity. What this means is important. When you say loneliness hurts, you are not being dramatic. You are not exaggerating. Your brain is processing real pain. And it also means something liberating. The same tools that reduce physical pain can reduce social pain. Warmth, contact, presence, the feeling that you are not alone. Tonight, we are going to give you those tools. Now, the soul hug. This technique combines self-physical contact with breathing to activate the release of oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone, the one released when we hug someone we love, when we hold hands, when we feel safe and warm physical contact. Research shows that the body releases oxytocin not only through contact with another person, also through conscious and warm self-contact. The hand over the chest, the arms crossed over the heart. Psychologist Kristin Neff from the University of Texas, a pioneering researcher in self-compassion, documented that the simple gesture of placing a hand over the heart with the intention of giving support to oneself reduces cortisol markers within minutes. Not because it is a placebo, but because it activates the brain's affiliation system, the system that activates when we feel someone's care. And the system does not check whether the care comes from outside or from within. It responds to the signal. In EMDR therapy, a technique called the butterfly hug is used. The arms crossed over the chest, alternating gentle taps with each hand. It is used with people who have experienced trauma because rhythmic self-contact activates the parasympathetic system and makes the nervous system feel safe enough to process what is difficult. Tonight, your hug does not need taps or rhythm, only warmth, only the presence of your own arms saying, I am here, I care for myself, I am enough. The body does not always distinguish whether contact comes from outside or from within, but the chemical signal it produces is real. So do this. Very gently, cross your arms over your chest, the right arm over the left, or the other way around. Whatever feels more natural, as if you were hugging yourself. Feel the soft pressure of your own arms over your chest, the warmth of your palms on your body. And now breathe. Inhale for 4 counts, deep, abdominal, as if the hug were creating more space inside you. Hold the air for 2 counts, the warmth of the hug expanding. Exhale for 6 counts, slow, complete, as if with the exhalation you were releasing something you had been carrying. One more. Inhale. 4. Feeling the contact of your own arms. Hold. 2. Receiving your own warmth. Exhale. 6. Releasing what you do not need to carry tonight. And again. Inhale. 4. Hold. 2. Exhale. 6. This hug you are giving yourself right now is real. The warmth you feel is real. The oxytocin being released is real. The message the body is receiving, you are safe. Someone cares for you. You are not completely alone, is real. Even if that someone is you, especially because that someone is you. Continue with this rhythm for a few minutes. Arms crossed, gentle breathing. You can let your arms rest wherever they want now, or keep them crossed if that feels good. There is a difference I want you to know. 2 words that sound similar in Spanish, but describe different worlds. Loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the experience of feeling alone when you do not want to be, the sensation that something is missing, the absence of connection that hurts. Solitude is different. It is the ability to be with yourself without that hurting. Your own presence as genuine company, an inner space inhabited, not empty. Many people never learn to be alone without feeling lonely, because no one ever taught them to inhabit their own inner world, to enjoy their own company, to listen to their own voice. Tonight, we are not going to erase the pain of loneliness, but we are going to move toward solitude, toward that state in which being with yourself is not the second option. It is a complete choice. Philosophers and contemplatives of all traditions have distinguished these two things. Blaise Pascal wrote in the 17th century that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone, not because others are the problem, but because the inability to be with oneself turns every moment of solitude into suffering, and the one who can be alone without suffering is also the one who can be accompanied without depending, the one who loves from freedom, because they do not need the other person to be okay. They choose them. Paul Tillich, the theologian, wrote that loneliness expresses the pain of being alone. Solitude expresses the glory of being alone. The glory, not the consolation prize, the glory. Because there is something extraordinary in the human being who can inhabit their own silence, who can be with their own thoughts, without those thoughts being the enemy, who can find within themselves something that does not depend on anyone else being present. This is not learned all at once. It is learned on nights like this, one night at a time, one self-hug at a time, one moment of inner presence at a time. Because the person with the greatest inner depth is the one who can be with themselves in peace, not because of a lack of bonds, but because the most fundamental bond is already resolved, the bond with yourself. the visualization of the bond of light. We are not going to try to forget the person you miss. We are not going to ask you to close any door. We are going to do something different. We are going to transform absence into presence in another way. Think of someone you love or have loved. Someone who is far away. Someone who is no longer here. Someone you miss tonight. It may be one person. It may be several. It may be someone who is no longer in this world, but whose love remains real. Hold them in your mind without forcing the image, with the softness with which memories appear when you do not chase them. Now imagine, from the center of your chest, a thread of golden light. Not thick or heavy, fine, luminous, alive, like a ray of sunlight passing through water. That thread leaves your heart and travels, regardless of distance, to the heart of the person you are thinking of. Not as something that ties you down, not as a chain, as a thread of connection that has always existed. That distance does not cut, that time does not erase, that not even death can undo. Because love does not travel through space. Love is more fundamental than space. That thread of light says what perhaps you could not say, or what you already said and want to say again. That you are there, that you think of them, that love continues. If there are words you have left unsaid, say them now. Not out loud, if you do not want to. Internally, from heart to heart. Forgive me, if there is something to forgive. Thank you, if there is gratitude to give. I love you, if that is what was left unsaid. I miss you, simply, if that is what is here. Words do not need to arrive in physical space to be real. The heart has its own transmission channel. And from the other end of the thread, imagine something coming back, a warmth, a light, a feeling that the bond is real, even if the person is not here. Perhaps something that has no name, but that the body recognizes as love returning. Because the love you give always comes back in some form, not always from where you sent it. But it comes back. Stay in that connection for a few moments. there is something I want to tell you about the moments when I have felt most alone. There was a time when I was surrounded by people and felt completely alone. I was on stages, in lines of applause, in dressing rooms full of people, and yet there was something inside that could not find anyone. Not because there were no people who loved me, but because I had not yet learned how to accompany myself. The hardest company to find is not that of others, it is your own. And what changed was not finding more people. It was learning to be with myself, learning not to feel threatened by inner silence, learning that my own thoughts were not always the enemy. Meditation was part of that path, not because it disconnects you from the world, but because it connects you with yourself. And from that internal connection with others comes from a different place, not from desperate need, but from choice. I remember one night, in particular, I was in a hotel in another city after a performance. The phone was full of messages from people saying it had been incredible. And I was in that room, completely alone, feeling empty in a way I did not understand, because the applause had ended, and what remained was silence. I did not understand it at that moment. It took me time to understand that the problem was not the loneliness of that night. It was that I had not learned to feel myself from within. I depended on something outside telling me that I was valuable, that I mattered, that I was not alone. And when that outside thing went quiet, emptiness remained. Learning to be with myself was the longest and most important work I have done, and it never completely ended. It is still a work in progress. But what I know now is that nights like that one, nights like tonight, are part of the path, not the end of the path, part of the path. The difference changes everything, giving love from abundance instead of from fear of emptiness, being with someone because you choose to, not because without them you cannot be. The path toward that begins on nights like this, when you stay with what is here, without running away from it, without numbing it. Now, the reprogramming of I am company. I'm going to say some phrases to you, not as empty affirmations, as seeds, as truths that right now you may not fully feel, but that your nervous system can learn to recognize. Let them arrive without analyzing them. As you let music enter, even when you are not thinking about the music. I am company. Repeat it internally if you want, or simply let it be. My presence is enough. Here, in this bed, in this body that breathes on its own. I am enough company for tonight. The silence of this night is not empty. It is full of me, of my story, of my memories, of the intelligence that keeps me alive without me deciding it. I am not alone. I am in solitude. The difference is that I chose to be here, and in that choice there is dignity. The love I have given does not disappear when the person is not here. It remains in me. It lives in who I am, in how I treat others, in what I carry from every bond I have had, in the moments when someone made me feel seen and that now carry that light inside me. I am connected to something larger than any person, to the web of life that runs through everything, to the same source we all come from, to the millions of people who tonight also feel this and who, like me, are learning to be with themselves. I am not alone tonight. I am accompanied by everything I have lived, by everything I have been given, by the person I am because of all of that, and by everything that is still to come. The neuroscience of bonding has something to add here. Neuroscientists who study mirror neurons, discovered by Giacomo Rizzolatti in Parma, found something extraordinary. The brain activates the same neurological circuits when you live an experience as when you imagine that experience in detail. When you visualize a hug, part of the neurological system of the hug activates When you imagine the presence of someone you love, the nervous system responds partially, as if that presence were real. Not completely and identically, but sufficiently to reduce cortisol, to activate some oxytocin, to tell the nervous system that it is not completely alone in the night. The thread of light you visualized a moment ago is not only a beautiful metaphor, it is a neurological tool, and it works because the brain that imagines it is the same one that would process real connection. Mirror neurons do not distinguish between living and observing, between living and imagining in detail. If you imagine the presence of someone who loves you with enough vividness, the nervous system responds partially, as if that person were here, not completely and identically. But the threshold of social pain lowers. Cortisol decreases. Something in the nervous system says, you are not completely alone. And that not completely alone may be enough for tonight. Because loneliness is not healed all at once. It is healed in the same way it settles in, one moment at a time. One moment of imagined connection, one moment of real self-compassion, one moment of your own presence that does not run away from what is here. You did all of that tonight. It does not replace real connection, but it supports you in the meantime. And it reminds you that the capacity to connect, that sophisticated and beautiful capacity you have, is still active inside you, ready for when the moment comes, as alive tonight as on the first day. the soul hug once more before sleeping. Cross your arms over your chest, gently. Inhale. 4. Receiving your own warmth. Hold. 2. Letting that warmth spread. Exhale. 6. Releasing tonight's guard. Again. Inhale. 4. Hold. 2. Exhale. 6. Tonight you do not have to carry anything. Once more. Inhale. 4. You are enough company. Hold. 2. Exhale. 6. Tomorrow there will be more. Let your arms rest. The body is heavier now. The burden that came to bed with you tonight has not completely disappeared. Perhaps tomorrow it will still be real. The absence, the pain, the hollow space. But something has changed, not in the circumstances, in the state from which you are going to live them. You have felt your own warmth tonight. You have remembered that the love you carry inside you does not depend on that person being present in order to be real. You have extended a thread of light toward the person you miss. You have remembered that you are company. And that is enough for tonight. You do not have to solve loneliness tonight. You only have to get through tonight gently. And for that, you only need what you already have. This body that breathes on its own. This consciousness that observes. And the warmth you generated with your own arms. The night will pass. And at some point, between now and dawn, the body will decide that it can finally let go. The breath will become even slower. Thoughts will lose coherence. They will become fragments, images, dreams that begin before sleep. That is the threshold. And on that threshold, curiously, loneliness disappears. Not because someone appears, but because the consciousness that separates me from others dissolves. On the threshold of sleep, the boundaries of the self become porous. And in that porosity, there is something that has no name, but that many traditions have called union, fusion, belonging. You belong to this world, to this night, to this silence that surrounds us all. Feel the body heavy, the body's temperature evenly distributed, the breath slower, the eyes with no effort behind them. The thread of light you extended toward the person you love is still there, even if you no longer visualize it. The love you feel is still real, even if you fall asleep. The warmth of the hug you gave yourself remains in the chest, even if the arms rest. Everything that happened tonight continues, not in the conscious mind, in something deeper than the mind. And on that threshold of sleep, you will not be alone. You will be with yourself, which is perhaps the most faithful company that exists. The one that never leaves, the one that never gets tired of you, the one that has been here your whole life, the one that has been there in every difficult moment, the one that will be there tomorrow when you wake up, the one that learned to walk, to speak, to love, the one that survived everything before. Always here, always you. And tonight, with everything that entails, with all the pain there may be in that phrase, always you, there is also something that does not change. That you deserve to be well, that you deserve peace, that you deserve to sleep tonight without loneliness weighing so heavily. And you can give that to yourself. You have just done it. Good night. You are not alone.